use to program this part. You can do it in standard configuration and you can do it in professional configuration. The XY instancing is only required, is only available in the professional. So if you're in the standard, you will have to program each one of these manually. In the professional, we can just do the instancing. Okay.
I also wanted to, Don, I also wanted to note that whatever Don's showing here, this is Rhino CAM, obviously, can also be done pretty much exactly in Visual CAD CAM. So there's really no difference.
Right, right. Okay. So we're going to start with, like any machining job, we're going to go into the Program tab of the Machining Objects browser, and you can load that browser right here by selecting Mill from the Rhino CAM main menu at the top. And for those of you that are just starting on the product, we basically have two sets of tabs up here. We have a Programming tab and a Simulate tab. Okay, and then we also have an area down here for creating various objects such as tools and predefined regions, features, knowledge bases, etc. So basically, we're just going to be using the Tool tab in this particular part. So let's start off from the Program tab in the top left corner. Let's look at the machine definition. Now, we're going to be doing 2-axis and 3-axis parts. So you would set this to 3-axis. 3-axis is the correct option, even if you're just doing a 2-axis part, okay? So you're just gonna make sure that the 3-axis is set. We don't really need a lot of other things in this dialog for this part, so we're just gonna pick okay. And now for the post, you wanna make sure that the post that you plan to use to actually cut the part is selected here in your current post processor. Pick OK there. Now, under setup, we already have our part oriented the way we need it to be oriented as far as the world coordinate system and the length and width, how it's oriented for the router. We do have an option up here. If your part is not in this orientation, this can help you orient the part automatically. And then we also have a setup option here and a rotate table, which is for 4-axis. We're not going to be looking at that. We already have setup 1, so we don't need to use the setup option by default.
Don, I just also wanted to note that the orientation of the part that you're looking at, you want to orient it exactly as it would sit on your router or mill. So depending on which way your X and Y, typically the X on a machine will be from left to right, and then the Y from where the viewer is standing and goes inside towards the inside of the machine. So you would want to keep that in mind and orient your part exactly as you would orient the actual workpiece on your machine. So that's very important to do, actually. So.
Yep, that can mess you up completely if it's not oriented correctly. That's why there's basically 2 or 3 steps at the beginning of the project that you need to do before you do any programming, and that's one of them. Okay, so we did with the machine, we looked at the post, we looked at the setup, and if you see in the machining job tree, we have the machine defined as 3-axis. We have our post selected. We have no stock yet, we have no fixtures, and we have a setup 1. So setup 1 is created automatically when you open any new part. And
can you go and Don, can you show the post selection too, just quickly? Yeah, can you list the posts that we have and talk a little bit about the programmable post also?
Okay, so we got the product ships with well over 300 different post processors, and these have been proven compatible with various controllers on various routers. So basically, if you know the controller software on your router, then it would correlate with one of these posts. If for some reason that we don't have a post in this list for your particular machine, you could just drop us an email and we will We do some assistance with post development. Now, post development does require annual maintenance subscription to be active. Once you're active on AMS, then we can help you create a post if we start in this list.
No, I mean, actually, anything that we create, I just don't want to get into the sales aspect of it a little bit, but it is an extra cost item for creating new posts. And also a note about the post processors here. There might be a post processor that we wrote for a particular customer that we have included in this library. That might not, you might have the same controller in your shop, but that particular post might need a little tweaking, because the setups are slightly different. So things of that sort we can handle quickly if you have AMS, small changes to the existing post. But if you have a new machine that we don't have, those will be extra cost items. We just wanted to make sure that customers understand that. And also, I also want to stress that just because there is a post here that matches your controller, it might not work exactly like you want it. You might want certain things turned on at the startup of the program, certain things turned off. You might have different kinds of cooling systems, coolant systems, and things of that sort. So these posts might still need some tweaking, even if it works on the controller. Thanks, Don.
Okay. And also at the top, we have two options: use legacy post, use programmable post. Legacy just means that you can select from your standard list of posts down here. It's called legacy because it was the way we did it all the time of the product, and then we introduced the programmable post, and this was then referred to as the legacy post. If you know how to do scripting, you can use the programmable post option to do a lot of dynamic things while you post.
Yeah, these are Python scripts, and we would suggest that if you have a 5-axis or a 4-axis machine, we would recommend using a Python post, and we would also recommend that we write it for you because it can get quite complicated. So.
Okay. So that's basically the post options. Now we're going to go over to the next column, and we're going to define our stock. For this particular part, the stock is already cut to size, so it's the correct length and width and height. So we're just going to go over here, and we're going to select a box stock, and we're going to pick the copy model bounding box button, and that will fit the stock to the exact length, width, and height dimensions of the part. So we'll pick OK there. And if you want to see the stock, we can turn it on and off over here. Let's just turn it off until we actually need it. Okay, so we did the stock. The next one down is called align. And you can do that to orient the stock you have defined with the part that you have on the screen. Now, because our part and our stock is the exact same size, we don't need to use the align stock. This particular option is interesting because sometimes if you're loading parts from other CAD systems, it may not come in the exact orientation or in the exact location in relation to the world coordinate system. And you can use this option here to automatically move the part to the world origin the way you want it. So we don't need to do either of these. And for material, this just allows you to select from a list of materials. It doesn't, at this point, it doesn't affect the actual programming too much. It will when you get into maybe selecting and defining some tools based on materials, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, it does affect feeds and speeds if you actually want to load it from the material tables.
Yeah.
Then the material actually matters. But if you know what feeds and speeds you're using, then it's it's a moot point actually. So and also it's used for display. You can use the material for texture displaying. So.
Okay, so we did the first two columns. Now we're going to get into the programming part. So the first item up here is a work 0. So you need to look at your part and make a determination of where on this stock on your router that you're going to set the world origin at. Okay, so where's the program 0? On this particular part, the user has it in the top left corner right here. So we're going to go ahead and select the work 0. And there's different options you can use for locating the 0 point. We're just going to use set to the stock box. So this is as if the stock is sitting on your machine right now, nothing's been cut. So where do you want to have the program 0? So like I mentioned, they want it in the upper left corner. So we're going to go the highest Z, and then we're going to go southwest, which moves the work 0 to the top left quadrant on the part. So we're just going to pick generate. So now you see we have a work 0 set up under setup 1, and we have a work 0 displayed here on the screen. You can turn that on and off using this toggle switch here. And you can also turn the world origin on and off if you need to. So I'm going to have the world origin off, and I'm going to have the work 0 or machine coordinate system turned on. Now, going back to the beginning of the part, when you look at your geometry and the features that you need to cut, you need to see if there's anything special going on with this geometry that may require some special consideration. If you see, everything is pretty much prismatic, so there's not a whole lot of things to consider, except for this sloped surface right here. The reason that you need to be concerned or that it needs to be considered is that we have a bottom edge here at the bottom edge of this slope. Let's go look at. Okay, let's go to the wireframe view here. Okay, so we got this sharp corner right here at the bottom of the slope. The reason I'm pointing that out is that you're going to want to allow a fillet radius in this bottom corner. It is nearly impossible to get this surface machined exactly where you want it if you're only using a flat end mill on the bottom. And then also, when you rough it out with a flat end mill, you don't want to let that end mill get too close to that edge, because we're going to be coming back in with a corner radius mill and finishing this off. So we don't want to have this, the flat come too close. So that's just an area that you need to be aware of. And we'll look at that as we program it. Come on. Okay. So let's go back into the shaded view.